Hey guys, well I apologize, but this video is coming kind of late, but here's an aftermath of the Chevy Derby truck that we ran out at the Williams County Fair this year. I ended up getting, I believe it was 4th in my heat, so that was cool. You can see from the video that the truck actually held up fairly well. I mean, if you look at this, you might not think so, but honestly it was just the sheet metal that's bent. The frame is still nice and straight. And this bumper can be straightened back out, or I might just trim it short, probably just trim it short. Tailgate's still actually straight, believe it or not, just a little bit of a buckle on that side, but that's it. And so yeah, we'll do a quick walk around, show you guys like what happened, what maybe knocked me out, or at least led to it. We did win Best Paint. This side is not as impressive as the other side. I spent more time on the driver's side and then the roof and the hood. Mainly because that's the side that the bulk of the crowd sees. So this side I didn't put in as much effort, only because I needed to save some time. I was kind of at the last minute painting this thing. So I apologize, I never got any real good videos of it prior to paint. Or once it was painted and as well. So unfortunately you'll have to just watch the video to see what that looks like, but we got some videos up of it. So let's just walk around here. So you can see the back bumper here got twisted. Did bend down a little bit. That side just kind of buckled in the middle, and actually the end there is just pushing in. So I'll probably just trim the ends off, and then that'll be good enough to go again. Mainly my thought with this is I'm going to keep the bumper on just to keep the frame rails from blowing apart. You're not allowed to drop the tailgate and then weld it, and so just because of the way these rules are, you have to wire it, and you're only allowed to wire it in 4 locations, basically 2 per side, sheet metal to sheet metal. And so what I did was I just welded some washers on here and just ran the wire through, and then did that same thing on both sides, and may have been able to maybe put them through the floor or something, but I don't know. Sometimes it's all interpretation, but in this case there really wasn't much I could do, so that's the reason it is the way it is. So here's the inside. It definitely bowed the body down in between the frame rails some, but if you guys remember, this thing was already really kind of, pushed down and wavy from having it be a wood truck. Well, that helped with strength front to back, but didn't do much for side to side. It actually caused it to want to fail quicker because it was already somewhat pre-bent to do that. And you already see it's kind of starting to do the same thing on this side. It's pushing in the middle and buckling. But we'll get around and show you the front as well. But you can see it's just kind of pushing the panels in. This one's pushed in a little bit, but mostly still a solid truck. This tire is still good. And actually over here, even though we got a flat, the tire itself is still good. Just the valve stem got taken out. It was a threaded in one, and somehow the end of it got ripped off, and it made the actual valve itself come loose. So sometimes that happens, and it didn't happen right away. Basically, I still had some air in it, and it slowly went flat as I was on the trailer driving home. So yeah, the frame itself is still very solid, very straight. I'm not really seeing any twists or weird kinks, and the leaf packs held together great with my new clamps that I put on there. Even the mounts here, they're not even twisting or anything, so that's good news. And so it's just mainly cosmetic, more dents, buckling, and whatnot. I took a couple good hits to the passenger door here. It's kind of hard to see with the way the paint job is, but that corner got pushed in pretty good as well. And then we were rubbing here. Actually, we did pry it away enough that we can enroll, but immediately after the event, that was rubbing into this tire. And so we're going to have to probably cut this out or just bend it up and get it up and out of the way before we can run it again. But this thing will definitely see the track next year for sure. Let's just peek in the inside. So something else that happened that I didn't even notice it until after the fact was that I had an oil leak inside the truck. As crazy as that might sound. But what happened was the line to my oil pressure gauge got ripped out of the gauge itself. And if you look right here, that's the reason why. You can see that the header got bent, But 2, the engine mount's broke. And the whole thing of the engine is kind of leaning towards the one side. Well, what happened was when the engine mount broke, it caused the whole engine to shift, and then it cut off the line, unfortunately, running to the gauge. And so it was spraying a small stream of oil out and onto the floor. So it's actually a good thing that it probably got eliminated when I did, because who knows, you know, I could have lost a lot of oil and burned something up. But, you know, other than that, the battery was great, the switches never failed me, I never had any issues with that. The roll cage is still looking really good, it hasn't really moved at all. And I'll show you my headrest over there is something I rigged up at the last minute. But here's the front end. So the bumper actually, relative to itself, is really not damaged at all. It basically just, I mean, this corner over here got pushed in a little bit, but not much because the bumper was already trimmed off. And so it basically just folded up on itself. And then so what we'll be able to do is just basically pull that thing right back down. We'll redo the bolts the way we had them. Unfortunately with this Derby you have to bolt the bumper on. You can't weld it, you can't, you know, hard nose it, so to speak. And so that was ultimately what caused this to happen, was that I had the bolts and some washers and other things just eventually gave way once I took a couple, or actually in my case I gave a couple good hits and it caused it to start bending up. But I just got this little, the brackets there at the end too, they got a kink in them, so once I pull this all back down I'll be able to push that stuff back in. I might trim the bumper a little thinner. Core support is still relatively straight and in the right position. The hood did get pushed down here. Obviously we took a good hit to the corner, and actually I think I may have done that. But anyway, we got to pull the sheet metal out. We'll pull the core support out a little bit. It did shift out of the bolts, it looks like. I had put new bolts in, but unfortunately the bolt itself just sheared the washer right apart. I can't believe that. But this side is still bolted nice and solid. So once we pull the bumper out, we'll pull all this out. It's, you know, it's just a process to take care of all that. But yeah, you know, so far it's all been pretty much cosmetic. So what knocked me out? Well, I had a couple big things happening. One, the engine mount broke. So when that happened, it caused the whole engine to lift up on the driver's side. It was the driver's side mount that broke. It didn't actually break from the frame. What happened was the bolts that actually bolted right into the block snapped off right at the block. Again, I can't believe it happened, but it happened on this side before, and then it just seemed to happen on this side this time. So once that broke, this one would want to lift and rock, and you know, ultimately that's what caused this header to be bent, is because it rocked so much that the engine came up, the header hit, it bent it in, and you know, now we have to probably go and buy some new headers, unfortunately. But I might be able to bend it back out. But I'm pretty picky when it comes to this kind of stuff, and we're already touching this valve cover here as well. And so we'll probably just end up buying a new set of headers. I kind of wanted to go to smaller collectors at the top anyway, to get a little more back pressure. But we'll see. Still got time to figure that one out, because at this point, this truck's probably going to be parked for the winter. And so the other thing that knocked me out, or certainly didn't help, was that I lost my front tire about halfway through. So I was pushing around a flat tire in the front. I had a broken engine mount. I had a oil leak in the inside of the truck, and the thing kept flooding. If you watch my video, you see I stop a few times and just working to try to get the thing fired up, and it just takes, you know, it just took time. So every time it would stall and flood out, which I think was probably about 4 or 5 times, it took a little bit longer to start. You know, just getting a little more loaded up, a little more flooded. And this Derby, we're only allowed 30 seconds to make a hit. Well, in the time I made a hit, drove away to line up for the next shot. When I drove away, you know, I ultimately stalled. Couldn't get it fired up in time. And that was it. I was done. I just timed out. If I would have had more like a minute, I probably could have gotten it fired back up and stayed in the action. But, you know, it's just the way it is. So I ended up finishing 4th. So I'm not too upset about that. I definitely got some money to bring home to help offset the cost and whatnot. So that's good. and I still have a truck to run for next year. And you know, with the oil leak, may have been a blessing in disguise, because I would have had to shut it down eventually, and who knows, it could have burned up my nice motor here, and that would have really stunk. But oh yeah, and since we're here, you guys can see the paint job. I'm sure you've probably already been checking it out in the video, but I also did the roof up here too. I'll try to see if I can get a good shot at it for you guys. Thought it turned out pretty good. I basically masked off all these areas. I had painted it white, so masked off all the areas where I wanted to have the zebra stripe type of a pattern, and then I painted the red, and then highlighted it all in blue, and then peeled all the tape away, and then this is what we got. And I'm pretty sure shortly I should be able to have the photos up on our Facebook page if you guys click the link down below this video. And we should have some photos up as well of in process and of some more of the build that unfortunately I was just so tight on time, I just completely forgot to film videos because I was up until like 2 in the morning out here, and then having to wake up at 7 and go to work. But there you go, guys. Here's the aftermath of the Chevy pickup that was ran out at the Williams County Fair. And now it's just time to, unfortunately, start putting this stuff away for the winter time. We're here at the end of October, and it's going to start getting cold here in Indiana. And the snow is going to be flying before we know it, and I'd love to be able to park my car in the garage in the shop here. And so in order to do that, I got to move some stuff around. I got to try to move all this stuff that's sitting in here out of the way so I can pull this truck up and be able to get stuff stored away for the winter. But there you go, guys. Aftermath video of the pickup. And stay tuned, because this thing will definitely be seeing the track next year. So until the next video, we'll talk to you later, guys.